Travels with your hosts, Sean and Marianne Dawn.
Well, hello there, Peeps, and welcome to another episode of Our Haunted Travels. Let's Talk Paranormal Live. That's a long title.
I was just thinking, can you get a longer title, please? Because I don't think it's long enough.
All right. I am your host, Sean Donnelly.
And I'm your co-host, Marianne Donnelly.
That's right. It's the show that the Wright brothers would appreciate if they'd stay out of that stupid bicycle shop. Hey, if you don't like it, you can write them. All right, tonight's live show gonna be a good one. We got some good stuff for you. Got some good stuff. Tonight's show is entitled, "Could Have H.H. Holmes Been Jack the Ripper?" Ooh. You're not chiming in on anything.
Not yet.
All right, as always, when we go live, if you guys are joining us live, please leave a comment in the chat section so we know that you're here and where you're coming from. Let us know where you're coming from. And we are going to wait around for a little bit while people join us. And we got some housekeeping stuff that we can do before we get started on tonight's topic.
All right. Well, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking I'm going to get started on tonight's topic. Let's talk about tonight's show producers. We want to give a shout out to our show producers, which is 12 Night Horror, Blur's Rebellion, and Psycho Axeman. These were our top tweeters this past week.
Tweet, tweet, tweet.
So how does that work, Marianne? This is the third time that we've done that. We've argued the last two times.
Know.
I don't know what a show producer is. I don't know what that means. Well, basically, here's what that means. If you are really active on our Twitter account, then go ahead, talk for a minute, because I'm having technical difficulties.
Oh, okay. If he sees that you tweeted the most throughout the week, the top 3 will actually become the producers of the show for the week. Which, you know, for me, that's still kind of creepy. But, you know, whatever.
Let's see if this will work.
What are you trying to make work?
I'm trying to get it to go to the next slide. I've been fighting with it. There we go. So here's how you could be a show producer. Basically, follow us on Twitter. Our Twitter handle there is @PANICdVideos. Just follow us on Twitter and be one of our top tweeters, which means you retweet. That's a hard word for me to say. Retweet. Comment on our posts. And then I get that little program that I signed up to every Friday. It tells me these are the peeps that are taking care of us on Twitter.
Ooh. All right. Well, thank you very much for those of you who made the cut this week.
Yes. And those transition things is going to bug me all night.
All right.
All right, so
we have a few peeps in the house.
Dude.
We have P.S.P.R.E. We have Abra's back. You know, I can't say Abra. So.
Abracus.
Yeah. And then Richard's back too. So it's nice to see
you
guys again.
Hey guys, you guys were with us last week.
Absolutely.
And you know what? Not one of you guys sent us an email, except for one. One guy sent us an email. He's going to win the coloring book.
It could have been you.
Could have been you. It could have been you. So, hey.
So who's the one who sent us the coloring book?
I don't know.
Or sent us the email. Are you ready to show me that yet?
I'm trying, but these
You're
slides
trying,
are
but
not.
the slides don't want to move.
Let's try the slides again. Oh, this is going to be a fun show. There we go. There's the winner of the coloring book. PSPRErie.com. He's in the chat. And I do believe he is also one of our registered Parrot peeps. So I have your address. And you won the coloring book for last week.
Yay! He gets to color.
He gets to color in the haunted coloring book.
All right.
All right. Now, if I don't knock this laptop off because of not changing.
Hey, it's live. Of course it's not going to change.
All right, so disclaimer, we are live. There are no, options to go back and edit, so I do apologize for my frustrations and everything.
It's all good.
All right, so let's do a little bit of update on our channel. Okay, this past week we've been putting out videos from our ghost hunt at Hotel Conneaut. I have roughly 5 more to put out, and those are going to go out tonight. And then that's going to sit out there. Now, I'll put a link in the... Now, I'm going to say this throughout tonight's show, all kinds of links. I'm going to add the links after we're done going live and Marianne goes and starts whipping up dinner. I'm putting links down in the description for stuff when I say there'll be a link in the description. So I'll put a link to the playlist if you guys want to participate and be one of our guest investigators and go and look over that stuff. And if you see something or hear something, you leave a comment in the comment section. And when we go back and wrap up Hotel Conneaut, we'll go and look at those areas and pull that stuff off and make that video. So that's this past week. I wanted to have it done last night, but I ran out of time. So, hey, forgive me. Sorry. Got a few more, some of our audio EVPs to put out, and that's going out tonight. However, after this show, kicking off next week, we're going to call this H.H. Holmes Week. So, here's what we got planned. We got some great stuff this week coming out. Tonight's show is going to be really cool. Tuesday, we're going to do the ghost and folklore of the Murder Castle. Ooh. Then we have an interview that Marianne did with Jeff Mudgett. That's going out. We got some video that Marianne did at the post office where the Murder Castle was.
Actually, the lawn next to it.
Yeah, the
which
lawn.
Is
well,
where
it's on the property.
Yeah, it's on the property.
So we got that video, and then Friday's location video, we're going to talk about the post office and the Murder Castle and that property. So that's this week. Next Saturday's live show, we're going to keep going with that whole Chicago theme, and we're going to talk about the, say it, because I said
the Congress Plaza Hotel.
Not that, the Columbian.
Oh, the Columbian's World Fair Exposition? Oh.
Jackpot. So that's what our topic is going to be on Let's Talk Paranormal Live next week. And then that's going to kick off that week of the Congress Plaza Hotel.
All right. So I just jumped ahead a little.
Just a little bit.
That's all right.
And then after that, I have no clue what we're going to do. We might just retire and just be done with it. No. We got all kinds of stuff to do.
We've been to too many places for that.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see if I can switch slides here again. No. Don't like that. All right. So PSPR, you won our thing. Okay. I can only do that if it's on the screen, which is kind of dumb. But anyways. All right, let's talk about how you can become a Peep. Peep means that you are certified and registered with us. Basically, smash that like button, subscribe to our channel, and shoot us an email to panicdvideos@gmail.com with proof that you are a subscriber, and we're going to make a certificate and send that back to you, and you are a certified Peep. And the certificate will look something like that, but it won't have my name. It'll have yours.
You don't think they want one with your name?
Well, I put on there your name with the arrow. Okay. So if you do that when we give stuff away, then you don't have to show us proof that you're a subscriber. You just send the email when we give stuff away, which I hope is the next slide. Yes.
Do you like it when it works?
I like it when it works. I like it when a plan comes together. All right, so I will bring that back, but let's come back to us here a second. All right. This week, we broke 700 subscribers.
Woo!
And I made the comment on past videos. I said, if we break 700 subscribers, we're going to give away a t-shirt. Okay? So now we have two separate things that we could start giving away. We could start giving away the coloring book, or we could give away a t-shirt. And I'm thinking, maybe, just maybe, I don't know yet, I got to think this through, that say somebody's name comes up again and they already won the coloring book and don't want another one, they can say, I want a t-shirt, or vice versa, or whatever. And then we'll just keep adding, we'll either do a t-shirt or a coloring book or our other book or the mystery boxes, which I want to do, and, things like that.
Sounds...
You're giving me that look like I'm insane.
Sounds slightly complicated to check on. No.
I guess it's kind of complicated. You guys down here in chat, is it complicated to enter to win something to give away? I just asked that you send an email. That's all. Anyways, hold up the t-shirt. Do you have the t-shirt? I saw you had it.
I do have the t-shirt.
So we wore these shirts last week. On the front, they say Our Haunted Travels, but show them the back.
And on the back, it's
on the back.
PANICdVideos
Peeps. So tonight we are giving away one of those t-shirts. Not that t-shirt, because I think that's my t-shirt. So you're not getting that one.
Yeah, you're not getting this one. This one's his.
Probably for most of you guys, that would be a tent anyways on you. So if you want to win the t-shirt tonight, here's what you got to do. You need to send us an email. Those of you who are in chat, if you're not a certified Parrot Peep, you need to send us proof that you are a subscriber. Okay? And if you like the video, you already probably left a comment, which is awesome. But in the subject, put number 005, which is this number of our live feed. And I'm going to need your shirt size.
Yeah, that would be important. We're not really, into that whole... mental telepathy.
Right. Here's another thing that would be helpful. If I don't already have it, your address if you win, so I could send it to you. That'd be helpful.
Also be good.
I need to add that to that slide, maybe.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Yeah.
All right. So Abra says it's not difficult to enter your contest.
Okay.
And Abra also has something, a little bit of an announcement that they wanted to make. And so they will be going live tonight at Trestle Bridge between 8 p.m. and 9 p.m.
We're going to have to catch that.
Yeah.
Is that Eastern?
That's what I put, and he said yes. Or they said yes.
So, hey, guys, you on here watching this, Abracus. I think we all need to go over to his channel at 8 p.m. and see his live feed. That would be fun. Yeah. We all move on over there.
Yeah, we'll swap.
Yeah. All right. Remind me again before the show's over to mention that. We have a lot of stuff to go over with you guys tonight. We have a lot of stuff. So, I don't know how we're going to pull this off. I just told Marianne right before we did the show that we should have not did this live because, yeah, there's a lot. All right. So I guess we need to. Did I cover everything? Yeah.
He made notes because there's so much he didn't want to forget.
All right. So let me give you a little bit of backstory in case you guys don't know why we're doing this. Okay. When we went to Chicago, you've heard us say, hey, we just got back from Chicago. But when we went to Chicago, the point of going there was an event going on that was talking about H.H. Holmes and Jack the Ripper. Okay. Marianne saw that. She goes, I want to go to this. And I'm going to tell you something. My wife never, ever, 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 ever takes off work unless she's close to dying. That's the only time.
The only time I've been off of work has been to go to my biology conferences. And
well, you're not taking off work. You're still working.
Right,
as a professional.
True. And there was a couple times when my doctor put me on bed rest. Yeah. That was it.
So she said, hey, this thing's going on in Chicago. That's not that far from us. It's like an hour and a half flight.
But we'd have to take off on Friday.
We have to take off Friday. And Jeff Mudgett's going to be there. And I'm like, do it, honey. If you want to do it, I'm all for taking a day off work. Not a problem. So we did that. And we went, and they had an event that went on Friday, Saturday, and it was supposed to go Sunday too, but they crammed it in Friday and whatever, and then we flew back Sunday. But really cool, awesome weekend. I mean, they just went over all kinds of stuff. All right. Now, we've been big Jeff Mudgett fans, and I'm kind of jumping ahead, but I'll tell you who he is in a minute, because we met him on our radio segment on BT Radio. He was on there that night. It was in the green room, and then Marianne's like a big groupie, and then we watched the show, and we did stuff online with people watching the show. And it was fun, you know, and we followed along with H.H. Holmes. Marianne teaches H.H. Holmes stuff in school, and, you know, you teach Jack the Ripper too, don't you?
I've used Jack the Ripper a few times when we talk about evidence collection and how it wasn't quite done correctly.
Okay.
I don't usually do the full case, but we talk about the evidence collection. And this year I've added a little bit of handwriting analysis with it.
Okay. Well, so
yes, but not the whole. But not the whole.
I'm sorry. I'm like paying attention to you, and I'm about ready to punch the laptop because I can't change the slide. Okay. So, anyways, that's why we're doing tonight's show, is we're going to kind of cover some of that stuff. All right. So let's get going. If you're in chat and you never heard of H.H. Holmes, that's okay. Not a problem. We're going to tell you who he was. So, have you heard of H.H. Holmes? If you have, leave a yes or no in chat right now. Now let's see
who knows.
Who knows and who doesn't know. And while you're doing that, I'm going to fight this slide.
Okay, that sounds wonderful.
Okay.
Richard says no.
No.
Richard was from across the pond, wasn't he?
Richard.
Wasn't Richard?
Could have been.
Wasn't Richard from...
Richard, were you from England or were you from
Michigan?
No, I think Abacus was.
I think Abacus is Michigan too. Okay. Well, it kind of...
If you're from England, you probably heard of Jack the Ripper.
Right. Oh, no, Richard's the one
Richard,
from Ohio.
yeah, from southeast. Oh, okay, that's southwest Ohio. That's right.
I forget who was across the pond.
I know. I'm sorry, guys.
Sorry, that's all right.
All, as you guys keep joining us, we'll remember where you're from and everything.
Go Ohio!
All right, so let H.H. Holmes. Who was H.H. Holmes?
Richard says,
not
Michigan.
No, sorry. I really apologize for that. Tremendously, I'm with you, man. Go Bucks. Go Bucks. Yeesh. We just... I hope... I'm sorry, Richard. I hope we didn't lose a subscriber on that. I feel for you. I'm a big Ohio State Buckeye fan.
I know. It's kind of funny when we're at school, we have one person that teaches in our district that is a Michigan fan, and I don't know how he's still allowed to work.
All right, so anyways, H.H. Holmes was America's first serial killer, okay? And this guy was... you know, we're not going to do a show on who H.H. I'm just going to give you a rough thing, because eventually I want to do a show on H.H. Holmes if I figure out these freaking slides. But I think I might have to go back to PowerPoint or whatever. But he was a medical doctor. He actually graduated medical school.
From Michigan.
Oh, jeez, you have to bring that back up. We already took care of that. You got to bring that back up. Open up the wound, throw salt in it. Anyways.
I'm just saying serial killers might come from there then. I don't know.
All right. Anyways, this guy was a con man. He was highly intelligent. You know, and the murders that he committed range anywhere from what he admitted to 27 of them, or 26, 27.
He admitted to 27 of them.
Yeah, up to over 200. Okay, so tonight we're going to try to tell you the story about H.H. Holmes and how all this ties together. Okay, so anyways, that's who H.H. Holmes was in a nutshell, and he. Oh. Really? Okay, so this ties to what we're going to talk about actually next week too, which is the
Columbian's World Fair Exposition.
Right, which took place in Chicago.
Correct.
What was the year?
1893.
All right. So, H.H. Holmes, part of his M.O., so to speak, I mean, he even was a grave robber, sold the cadavers back to medical schools, and just did all kinds of, like, sick stuff, okay? Well, the Columbian World's Fair was a big deal. I mean, this was huge, and again, we'll talk about it in the next show. But a ton of people, millions of people went to Chicago for this, and he knew that was going to happen, so he decided that's the place for me to be, to get my victims. Right? You're biting your tongue, so I must be saying this right. She's actually the H.H. Holmes aficionado in the couple, but. So he ended up, through all kinds of different things, he ended up in Chicago and built what's called the Murder Castle.
Today it's called the Murder Castle.
Castle.
He didn't call it the Murder Castle back then. It would have been bad for business.
World's Fair Hotel. Okay.
Yeah, it would have been bad for business for him to call it the Murder Castle back then. So we've just kind of done that now.
Right. So. This is really a shame with these slides.
I know, because you worked so hard on
I know. So, anyways, that is the Chicago World's Fair Hotel. Is that what he called it? I asked you that earlier, and I don't remember what you said.
World's Fair Hotel is what I've heard.
Okay. So, he built that hotel.
Someday I'm hoping to find like a flyer or something that says, come get a room at the World's Fair Hotel.
Come get a room. You mean like the original one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
All right, so he used to go down to train stations, and he would go to other hotels, even down to the fair, because we're talking millions of people came to Chicago for the World's Fair, but he would go personally himself and say, he was real charismatic.
Charismatic.
Okay, so he could convince people into doing stuff. He said, I have this hotel, come stay with me, you will stay in luxury, and it's so much cheaper than these other places. And you can imagine the price gouging that was taking place.
It was closer to the actual fair.
Yes, it was within walking distance of the fair, and like where we stayed when we were in Chicago, which was the Congress Plaza Hotel, that was like packed, but it was far away. Like
For walking distance, it would be about a 15-minute walk, probably.
Yeah. Or this was just right down the street.
Right.
So come stay with me, and that kind of stuff. Here's what this guy did. All right, that hotel was actually had trap doors in it. It had where he gassed people while they were sleeping and slide their body down to the basement, and just all kinds of.
Yes, and
bad stuff.
And the theories are that he would do all kinds of different experiments, and then he would clean the bodies up and sell the skeletons off to universities, or he would burn them in his, basement furnace,
Yeah, all kinds of fun stuff. So, anyways, moving on, comes Jeff Mudgett. Now, Jeff Mudgett is the great-great-grandson of H.H. Holmes.
Correct.
So, H.H. Holmes' real name was Herman Webster Mudgett. Mm-hmm. And like I said, he was a con man. So as he worked his way to Chicago, when he got to Illinois, and I asked Marianne this question, we have to look this up to see how he did this, because he registered as a pharmacist, and he didn't have a problem doing that since he had a medical degree. But when he registered as a pharmacist, he used the alias H.H. Holmes. However, he had so many different aliases he used, because this guy ran insurance frauds. He did all kinds of stuff and used all kinds of different names. And so we have to look and see how he did that.
According to his book, which we have a link for later, according to his own accounts of things.
Jumping ahead, but okay, go ahead.
He did that because he had to deal with some problems, legal matters that were potentially attached to his name as a pharmacist in a different state. And he didn't want that to come back on him here in Chicago. So when he went to Illinois, he had to go to Springfield, Illinois, and pass a test to get his license to be a pharmacist in Illinois.
But back in those days, a pharmacist
H.H.
was really
Holmes.
close to being a doctor.
Yeah, they were
because
pretty.
You had to know the medical stuff.
Yeah.
So anyways, he became a pharmacist, and he went to Chicago and went to work for a pharmacy. And anyways, it turned out, guess what, folks? He ended up owning the pharmacy, and the original owners just disappeared. So he made all kinds of money, and that's how he got the money to buy the property where he built the murder castle.
Right across the street from the pharmacy that he was working at.
So let's talk about Jeff Mudgett now.
Okay.
Jeff Mudgett found out when he was at the age of 40, he just found out that his grandfather actually mentioned it. I don't know. I thought it was like a family reunion or something.
Some sort of gathering.
Oh,
dinner.
by the way, our ancestor is Herman Mudgett, a.k.a. H.H. Holmes. And Jeff Mudgett was like
he was
he's
a
an
trial
attorney,
attorney.
a trial lawyer, you know, and the whole family is Christian-based and all this other stuff. So this was like a shocker to him, and he has decided to basically dedicate his life to find out everything he can about it and about the victims and things like that, and rectify what his ancestor did and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
All right, so that's who Jeff Mudgett is. Now, Jeff has a book out. This is how we kind of got started. Oh, these slides. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Oh, that picture right there. We need to talk about that a second, because Marianne actually got to hold that photo that Jeff is holding.
You were there, too, but you didn't hold it.
I took the picture,
You took the picture, but you didn't hold on to it for a second or two.
I think I did.
I think
but
you
that
did,
picture
too.
right there is the original graduation picture. Was that high school graduation?
That was his medical graduation
Medical
picture.
graduation. All right, so that's the medical graduation picture of H.H. Holmes, and there's actually writing on the back of it. We have pictures of that, and we'll be putting that out in videos and stuff this week.
Yeah, a story I heard from Jeff Mudgett at the event when we got to touch that picture was that he was not happy with that picture, and in fact had gone to see
went
said
to see the
photographer and say
photographer,
how much he displeased with the picture.
and the photographer talked him into
into liking it. So all I can say is that guy, he was quite lucky.
Yeah.
He was a good swindler too, maybe.
Yeah.
So
anyways, the book that Jeff put out, it's called Bloodstains, and I got your book. Copy.
I have a hard copy, and I also have it on CD. You can have it in the car.
Our hard copy. I don't know if you can still get these. Maybe
You can,
but
you can.
our hard copy is signed by Mr. Jeff Mudgett.
Mm-hmm.
But this is an awesome book. We listened to it while we were driving and traveling on the CDs, and we got the printed copy. Again, I'm going to put a link down in the description where you can actually get this on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
This is like it's a combination of Jeff's research,
Personal
and experiences, which we'll talk about in future videos.
And a little filler.
Yeah, and some created stuff to kind of make people want to buy the book, basically. But anyways, Jeff has like dedicated his life pretty much to piecing together H.H. Holmes. And he came across something that was quite interesting, which leads to today's topic. He believes, strongly, actually, that H.H. Holmes was Jack the Ripper.
That he does.
Yes. All right, so I don't know what the next slide's going to be. All right, so I don't know if I have this as a slide, and I apologize, folks. I got to figure out a better way to do these slides, but I was really excited.
While you're doing that, Halos and Heathens is just quite fascinated with the fact that you can just walk in and say, "Hey, I'm a pharmacist."
Yeah, well, back then they pretty much could.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jeff actually was able to, and with his quest and investigation, one of the things that he wanted to do was to exhume the body of H.H. Holmes, because there's theories and stories and things he found in his research that they believe that he conned them out. I mean, because H.H. Holmes was originally caught and he was executed, okay? But as part of his last will and testament, so to speak, was that he was to be encased in a sarcophagus of cement. Okay. And there's a theory that he conned somebody else out, and the person that they actually hung and buried was not H.H. Holmes. So that cost over $2 million to do that exhumation. So Jeff went to different television shows and stuff about his theory, and the History Channel put out a series. What was that, last year?
Yes.
Yeah, we watched it last year. Called American Ripper.
Last summer and into the fall.
Yeah, which I'll put a link that you can actually buy it on Amazon and watch it, and it's like, seriously, and at the end of it they have the exhumation.
Right. Now the reason behind everybody, including Jeff, originally thinking that his great-great-grandfather had escaped death and wasn't really in that grave was because anybody who was kind of involved in his persecution and eventual supposed hanging, they died some mysterious deaths.
Yes, they didn't exist
Just
anymore.
all of a sudden.
All right, so
And that's why a lot of people
shows
thought-
that we can dive.
Yeah, a
drill
lot of
into
people
every
thought
one of those
that
like,
was
in
yeah,
depth.
and they called that the Holmes Curse, by the way.
Yeah, the Holmes Curse.
Yes.
All right, so anyways, American Ripper is an awesome show. I highly recommend that. Now, another thing, too, Jeff had done a, and I don't think I have an image. We'll see what the next one is. No. Jeff had done a tech talk. TED talk.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's
tech.
okay.
I got tech on the brain.
You got tech on the brain.
Jeff had done a TED talk. Is that when Bloodstains came out? I think it was.
You know what? I don't. It was a couple years back. I don't know.
So,
when
anyways,
exactly.
I'll put a link to that. It's actually on YouTube where you go.
2009. So it was a few years after.
It was after
Yeah.
Bloodstains. So it, they show which different things that we're going to talk about here on the comparisons and stuff and why he believes that Holmes was the Ripper. So Jack the Ripper. Now let me ask you guys, please leave in the comment section. Do you know who Jack the Ripper was, right? If you don't, let us know. So Richard's asking how many did Holmes kill?
Right.
The estimate is anywhere from 3, actually, they know for sure, to over 200, and he admitted to 27.
Right. And
but they think that some of them that he admitted to was
still alive.
stuff he made up. 'Cause
Yeah.
this guy was just like, whatever, he don't care.
Yeah.
But,
Now there were supposedly 5 individuals out of those 27 that eventually surfaced as being
they
alive.
surfaced.
So
he even killed, and this is the one, his assistant. Like his assistant. Like he even killed him. This guy was creepy. Super creepy. All right, so Jack the Ripper. Do you guys know who Jack the Ripper is? Nobody commented.
nobody commented on that.
All right, so I'll tell you who Jack the Ripper was. Real short, okay? Jack the Ripper was it's still an unsolved case over in England, in the
Whitechapel
area of England, where 5 prostitutes were murdered. But the murders were not your typical murders. The first one was just a slaying, but she was disemboweled. Then the following ones had body parts almost surgically removed. And then no more murders. Right? And since nobody knows who it was, there's so many theories it was, royalty, somebody from royalty, some doctor.
That's what Mona just said.
Was it one of the royal family? Yeah, that's a theory. There's people from, other doctors from the United States and all this other stuff. And the interesting thing that actually caught our attention about this whole thing and what he was talking about is that through Jeff's research, they have found, and Marion's going to debate me here, I know, in a second, but they have found holes from when Herman Mudgett was not in the United States. They can't detect where he was. The Ripper murders happened And then when they have documentation of him being back in the United States, the murder stopped. That to me was like, well, okay, well, that makes sense. But then there's people, then Marion, we'll talk about that here in a second. Marion's going to shoot holes in that theory too. But that was the basis, the clicker for me. Because this guy, I mean, they could document everywhere he went just from the research and knowing what his aliases were. And, you know, you can't catch all of that stuff. But there are, you know, just like UFOologists and cryptozoologists and paranormal researchers and things like that, that people that just study this and put all this together, and there's a hole in that timeline. So we'll talk about that. Okay, so that's who Jack the Ripper was, and he got the term Jack the Ripper because of
the Dear Boss letter.
The Dear Boss letter, which was signed
Jack the Ripper.
Okay, so a lot of people think that, you know, somebody just made that up. No, the actual one of the letters that he sent or was signed Jack the Ripper.
Right. There were some people who said that newspapers made that up, but one of the letters that Jack the Ripper sent was actually signed Jack the Ripper, and so was a couple others. But there was also then the theory that maybe somebody from the newspapers had actually made up those letters to sell more newspapers, which would just be psycho.
Which we the confession book. We got a little story for you about that, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, the confession book is super cool. Jeff says that, you know, there's a lot of lies that he's been able to chase down that were in that book, including information about the 27 murders.
Right.
So, you know, he was a notorious liar. Of course there's going to be lies in his confessions, you know, and in his own story.
So his actual confession, now he wrote this book when he was in prison.
Right.
And it's actually a book. That he wrote, and basically he was facing execution, and there's some handwritten notes and things like that. That slide that I just showed you, and I'm going to show you here and again because I have to show it again to go to the next slide. Anyways, that's a picture from American Ripper where they featured that book on the show. Now here's how obsessed we got with this stuff, folks. We based last year's vacation on the fact we're going to the Library of Congress where this book is, and we're going to see this book. Right?
We
that was one of the goals of our vacation last year.
To go to the Library of Congress.
Why not? Yeah. We are American citizens. We have a right to go and see that book. It's in the Library of Congress. Let's see if we can do it.
So we went to the Library of Congress and we got a library card.
I would rather have a root canal than to go through all that stuff we had to go through. You have to go through and get a Library of Congress research card, which is free, and everyone is entitled to do it, providing you're over the age of 16.
Was it 16 or 18?
It was 16. Because we got asked by 5 people, are you over the age of 16? I don't get carded for alcohol. Not that I buy alcohol, but really? Yeah, I'm over the age of 16.
Yeah, he had this gray hair back in July.
Well, it's just past summer. So you have to get the library card. That right there took about 3.5 hours to get that library card. You're going this person, that person, this person.
Finding your way to the back where you can get in to see the books takes an hour.
But we do have it. We have our Library of Congress research cards. And then you get to the rare book section. And you give them a list. Here are the items that we would like to see. So you have to do a little bit of research ahead of time online, which, by the way, Marianne did. And she found a copy of the book digitally, which we're going to put a link in the description here where you guys can get it, a digital copy of the book.
Right.
Okay? However, they came back and they told us, we're sorry, we cannot bring you this book out because it has been taken off of letting people see it since it's so fragile. Yes. All that way, all that stuff, we can't see the book.
But I had several other books on my list as well.
Yes.
And then they started to
Another
go through
one that
those
we're going to
lists.
do a show later, they couldn't find it.
Yeah, they still haven't been able to send me a message saying it's there yet.
They actually told us, go online and you can bring it up on the wait a minute. We're at the Library of Congress. We want to see this book. They can't find it. We're going to do a show about that one later. Anyways, it was cool. While we were there, the guy felt bad for us. He brought out a wanted poster. I think I've said this before. Brought out a wanted poster for Lincoln with the original tintype thing. So
for Wilkes Booth. And
what'd I say?
Surratt
Lincoln?
About Lincoln's death.
I'm sorry.
But it's okay. We weren't wanting Lincoln.
Yeah. So we're sitting there. We're bummed. Okay, we wanted to see this book.
But we were excited to see the Lincoln poster.
I was excited to see the Lincoln poster and all that stuff. So the guy felt bad for us because I kept moping. Yeah, don't tell anybody. This is a secret. He said, my supervisor's going to be on break.
My supervisor's going to lunch.
For about 15, 20 minutes. Here's the book. Boom. Bam. There it was. We saw the book. She touched the book. She held the book. They wouldn't let us take pictures.
You have to get prior permission to take pictures.
But we held the confession book. We didn't hold it. She touched it. Okay, sorry.
We want to make it correct, right?
I'm trying to tell a story. Hold, touch, whatever. Do you guys care? Don't matter. Anyways, it's in the Library of Congress. We saw it. I don't know whether anybody can go back and see it again because now they've taken it out of where public circulation, whatever. Anyways, we saw that book. We saw the actual original handwriting of H.H. Holmes written in that book. Awesome experience. Anyways, I had to throw that in here, that little story.
Yeah, but the story I told a little bit ago, that comes right out of that book. Yeah. I literally read that. You can read about his beginnings as a 5-year-old boy in that book. So it's a cool book. Even though it's by a serial killer, but still, nonetheless.
Yeah. It's
an original copy, and it's actually the one that he gave upon his walk to the hanging noose. He wrote a note, had it glued inside to the judge.
Actually, it was. I thought it was to the warden, but
I think it was to the judge.
I thought it was a note to the warden.
Could have been.
All right. So, anyways, okay. So, as those of you guys that are joining us a little bit late, hey, we've said every time we go live, we're going to give something away. If you want to win one of our Haunted Travels Peep shirt,
to the Honorable Mr. Parrot.
Honorable. So yes, then it was the judge.
Court of Common Pleas.
Okay. Our Haunted Travels.
Peeps.
Peeps t-shirt. Not this one because this is my tent.
So Joanne says she cares. And Jimmy Boots is here.
All right. Jimmy Boots.
Yeah. Jimmy Boots.
Jimmy Boots. I think I just met him on Twitter last night.
Okay.
All right. So, anyways, if you want to win that shirt, here's what you gotta do. You need to sub our channel, like this video, leave a comment, which most of you have already done in the chat section. But let's go ahead and smash that like button. Help out, support the channel here. But shoot us an email with a screenshot that you have subbed our channel, and in the subject put show number 005, and I need your t-shirt size and address, because next week when we go live, depending on how many emails we're going to get, we're going to do that little spinny wheel thing and give away that t-shirt.
Yeah, so Richard wanted to know if they ever actually caught Jack the Ripper, and that is a no.
Jack the Ripper is unsolved. H.H. Holmes was caught and executed, but Jack the Ripper was never caught. That's still a Scotland Yard unsolved murder case.
True.
All right, so what do we got next here? I apologize, folks, about these slides. Okay, so it's been scrolling on the bottom of the screen, too, how you can become a Peep. Basically the same way you answer that shirt. Or enter to win the shirt. Answer the shirt. Brain's not working right tonight. Who else we got in here? Joanne! We got Joanne. Hello, Joe.
Richard says you're doing good.
Doing good.
Mona.
Thanks.
Mona seems to be.
It's the vodka in here.
Stop it. Mona seems to be really knowledgeable about Jack the Ripper case.
All right, Mona. Eventually down the road, we're going to do a show just on Jack the
Yeah.
Ripper. And
We'll see. Mona, do you have any specific character that you think was actually Jack the Ripper?
What's your theory?
What's your opinion?
What's your theory? There's so many different theories about different people. And even when we went to that show, Vincent, the gentleman that put it together, he thought it was, what did he say? Tumblety.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then we got another theory that's coming up here right now. So let's keep moving, okay? Because we are, 46 minutes.
I know.
All right, so the different things in the am I doing this okay? Because this is like supposed to be your show.
It's all good.
But anyways, the different items or theories that Jeff Mudgett has that he thinks that H.H. Holmes was Jack the Ripper. So we're going to cover those. So the first one, like I mentioned before, is the actual timeline. Now, there are holes in the timeline. I've already mentioned that about when Herman Mudgett, H.H. Holmes, whatever, can't not be accounted for in the United States. And that was actually basically the same time period when the Jack the Ripper murders took place. Mm-hmm. So, like I said before, to me that was a big tip-off. Like, yeah, that makes sense, right? Mm-hmm. However, there are those who believe that they can prove things that happened during that timeline. And Adam Seltzer, who's a big H.H. Holmes historian, has, did you say multiple books?
Yes, he's written over 20 books, and I think like at least 5 of them are on Holmes. I mean, he's one of the top Holmes known.
And you said that this book right here is the one where he proves that there are different things in that timeline, right?
He is believing that. Yes, I have not gotten this book yet. It's on my to buy list.
Yeah, but we are going to put a link to this on Amazon in our in the description here. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's going to be interesting. And we wanted. I actually reached out to Adam when we were going to Chicago and tried to get with him. We're going back to Chicago in a couple years. I'm going to try that again and see if we can hook up with him. And the time-wise, as far as the time being there, it didn't work with his schedule and that kind of stuff. So that might be kind of interesting when we go back, is to go hook up with him. And he does tours and stuff like that too. Yeah. So that would be interesting. So that's one. The second thing is the ship manifest.
Well, did you want to mention some of the things that are in the timeline that he...
Yeah, go ahead.
Because one of his things is that Holmes was actually in Chicago area at the time of the Whitechapel murders, because he's uncovered that Holmes registered to vote in Englewood on October 9th of course 1888. He's not sure. I mean,
but
he
that
says
might not
they
have
could
been
have.
him.
Yeah, somebody could have come
There was all
in.
kinds of corruption back then, folks. I'm going to tell you, you didn't have to show proof of who you were.
Yeah,
that could have been somebody
much.
that was working for Holmes and said, "Hey, I got to get this vote in there. Go down and vote for me." So I'm throwing that out.
You're throwing that out. How about the fact that his daughter was born on July 4th of the following year?
Holmes's daughter?
Yes.
That's kind of interesting.
So that means that he was...
He had to be here to do a little bit of...
Yeah. Unless he's not really her daddy.
That's
in
true
which
too.
case, what was she thinking?
Yeah.
Your husband's a serial killer. Don't do that. So anyhow, so those are two of the things. But there's also the Mudgett family who, according to Seltzer's research, and I haven't talked to Jeff about this, but according to Seltzer's research, he has seen documents that prove that he was visiting Clara and the family in the New England states in October.
I don't buy that because Jeff says that he abandoned them.
It was the first time that he'd been there in a long time, and it was the last time he ever came to see Clara.
I don't know.
So you disagree?
I disagree with
All
that.
right.
I disagree with that because they stated that it was abandonment. Why would he go back? But I don't know. Can you tell that I support Jeff's theory?
No.
All right, so let's talk about the manifest.
All right, let's talk about the manifest.
All right, so here's another, argument, basically, that Jeff has, and that is the ship manifest. Now, he actually subpoenaed to get copies of these because these are actual documentation of who traveled by sea between the United States and in England, and
right.
they do have proof that he traveled from New York, right?
Yes.
To London.
Yes, and back. Amaryllis Fox, who was his
co-host basically,
of the American Ripper show, she actually did go and see copies of the manifests that several of them had.
Well, he has copies of them because in that TED Talk he said he subpoenaed them and they had to send him copies.
The name H. Holmes was found in the manifests. They also found some of his other difficult to get on a ship. You not like today. Today you have to have your IDs and everything, and you just said, "Hey, my name is so and so." You write it down and get on the ship. Now it's a little bit more difficult.
Again, I guess my argument where I said about voting, I mean, he could have sent somebody using his alias over there to kind of throw people off, because I think around that time they were catching up with him. They were getting close to something that was.
It was payments that he was sort of missing, and he was being sued by people who were, providing services for his building of the murder castle. Yeah. So.
Okay, so let's keep going.
But his name does appear. H. Holmes does appear in manifests over to London.
And there was some of his aliases.
And some of his
aliases,
too. Yes.
Okay, so the next thing would have been the. And this is gonna spark something off here. The handwriting analysis. I don't know. This is actually a screenshot from the TED Talk, and they have it, in the show where they talk about the handwriting analysis, where they've actually compared. And correct me if I'm wrong. It was a comparison between one of those letters. It was the Saucy Jack letter.
It was the Dear Boss letter.
Dear Boss. Okay.
Saucy Jack was supposedly written by the same hand, so. Okay. I guess technically you could say either one, but it was the Dear Boss letter that was compared to
a letter written by H. Holmes
to his lawyer.
And they compared the handwriting, and
it was determined that it was approximately 97% match.
Now, during the show, the American Ripper show, they took those letters and sent them to a handwriting specialist, FBI or whatever, and the results was inconclusive, right, during the show from that. But they did say that they were written by American.
It did prove that it was definitely an American by the use of the wording. It was a lot more Americanized terminology than. So
we're talking about this happened. How long ago? You said
1893.
1893.
He was executed in 1896.
1993. Oh, math. Not good today. How many years ago was that? Over 100. 120, 30,
I'm
somewhere
looking
like
for
that.
Something different, so I'm not thinking real hard right now.
I know. Help me out here.
I'm sorry.
Anyways, so they're doing analysis and stuff with today's science on stuff that's way over 100 years old. So... yeah, I could see why some of this stuff's coming back inconclusive, or they can't match it, or whatever, based on, you know, things deteriorating or something like that. So, do you have anything else about the handwriting before I keep moving?
Well, as far as the handwriting goes, they took the closing statement basically from the two, the Dear Boss letter and the letter to his lawyer, to Holmes' lawyer, and they compared the closings, which on the Dear Boss it was yours truly, and on the letter to his lawyer it was your true friend, I believe it was. So they took the your and the true portion because those were similar, and they compared the shapes of the letters, the angles of the letters, things like that. I personally teach handwriting analysis in school, and so looking at the end of the letter is good, because the theory is that if you're trying to fake your handwriting,
Bring that back.
if you're trying to fake your handwriting, at the beginning you're thinking about it, you're really putting effort into faking that handwriting. So looking at the end is good. I'm concerned about the lowercase t on truly and true.
Yeah, you did say that you would like to see
I would
these.
like to definitely see that a little bit better. The problem with that, though, is
They can't find them.
the letters from
don't
Jack the Ripper were
exist.
stolen,
Somebody
and
has
so
them.
there's facsimiles.
Or they destroyed them.
There's fake, there's copies of them, but the originals aren't there to compare against.
All right, let's move on to the next one. And this was a shocker in the show. And my slides aren't working.
Of course they're not.
The facial recognition. Now, this has been done a couple
The facial
times.
composite. Mm-hmm.
I said that wrong again, didn't I?
You like using facial recognition.
Yeah, the facial composite. All right, so here's what they did with this, okay? And this has been done twice. Once my computer,
Right.
which you could see in that TED Talk, and then once they had somebody actually sitting there
And drawing it out.
and drawing it out, okay? Now, this is based on, look
The
at that.
eyewitness
This
accounts.
is based on eyewitness accounts of Jack the Ripper.
Yeah, so the picture on the left that you're seeing now, that's actually what the composite sketch is of Jack the Ripper, based on the 13 or 14 eyewitnesses. I can't remember which one. And so then on the right is the photo of H.H. Holmes. Jimmy Boots thinks it looks like Wyatt Earp.
Yeah. Yeah. But that was quite interesting right there. And that was pretty cool the way they did that, is they sat there and they read off the witness accounts while the artist was doing the drawings, and that's what they came up with. So yeah, that was pretty cool. Do you have anything else about that one?
No, I think that they're pretty
I
darn
want to
close.
leave time for discussion.
Okay.
And then
I
we'll
think they're
talk.
pretty darn
I
close.
thought they were close too.
Yeah.
That was another that sold me on that. But oh man, this was easier when I did this a different way.
Yeah, back in the old days.
All right, the exhumation. At the end of the season or the end of the series, they actually did the exhumation of the grave of H.H. Holmes.
Yes, they did get legal permission to do so.
And wait till you hear the interview coming out this week with Jeff Mudgett. But he talked about being there, and they actually found an intact brain in the skull from that grave.
Yes.
And there were other things that were intact. The mustache was there. The hat was there. And we're talking over 100 years old. How is this possible? Well, the grave was encased in cement, so it preserved a lot of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, what did they find? What did
What
they
did-
find? Was that H.H. Holmes?
The archaeologists say yes.
The archaeologists say yes. However, the science says no. Because it's a different height.
They do say that there is a discrepancy in the height.
Discrepancy in the height, and there's a discrepancy in the DNA. It's not close enough to be a relative, wasn't it?
No, it's close enough to be a relative. It's a relative.
Yeah.
But the DNA had gaps. If you talk
There's
to
gaps in
if
the
you talk,
DNA.
yeah, there's
DNA.
gaps in the analysis.
And he can't get a copy of it.
I don't know if he has yet, but he said that they
No,
didn't
he
want
said
to
he was
give
trying to
it.
get
He
a
was
copy
trying
of it. He
to,
couldn't
but
get
I
it.
don't know if he ended up getting successfully. I didn't ask him if he successfully did end up getting it.
I
He
thought
did say
another
that
thing-
originally he couldn't, though.
I thought another thing that was kind of interesting too was they found inside that grave a silver cross. Okay, so before H.H. Holmes was executed, he went to the local Catholic church and asked for forgiveness. Was
So that he could
baptized
be
and all
buried in
other-
that
so he
cemetery.
Could be buried specifically in that cemetery. Okay, and which they did. So he was baptized and all that other stuff and forgiven and everything. But that silver cross that they found didn't have Herman Mudgett on it. It had H.H. Holmes on that silver cross.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting,
Yeah.
too. Why would he do that?
Yeah, and it's that Jeff said the same thing. He's perplexed by why he would do that.
They
Why
found
would
that
he
in that
have
grave
that?
site. So the theory is that he conned somebody. He wasn't really executed. He conned somebody into doing it, or drugged somebody into doing it, or something, and they executed the wrong person, and that was the person that was in that grave. So what do you guys think? What do you guys think? Do you think that H.H. Holmes could have been Jack the Ripper? Leave it in the comments. Let's talk about this. Let's spend some time discussing it. Mary Ann's on the fence. I think he was, but
Well, Jimmy says that we lose 2 inches over a lifetime as you get older. So he's okay with the not tall enough body in the grave.
okay. But that was the measurement of the bones.
That was a measurement of bones.
You lose your 2 inches over your cartilage compressing, right? Am I
Yes,
wrong?
over
You're the
over time.
science.
Over time,
Your
yes.
bones shrink,
No, your bones don't shrink
the cartilage compresses.
Mhm.
So they got the measurements
from the bones.
from the bones.
Yes.
I should have clarified that earlier.
Joanne says that she thinks that he was Jack the Ripper.
It's very plausible. I mean,
Yeah, there's definitely
there's others.
there's
other theories and
definitely
stuff,
things that say, oh, that's pretty darn plausible. Did the Ripper murders stop after Holmes died? Actually,
Yes.
they stopped well before Holmes
they
died.
stopped before Holmes died.
They
but,
stopped when Holmes was back in the United States.
yeah, when they have proof that Holmes was back in the United States, the Ripper murders stopped.
Right.
Yeah. So that weekend that we were at, they had some really fascinating. It was basically we were becoming ripperologists, and they did like a mass hypnosis thing to try to send you back to that point and try to be with the victims and all that other stuff. Whatever. But it was actually kind of cool. So
Richard says he was the Ripper.
he was the Ripper. So we got one,
We got two.
Two.
Joanne and Richard.
two. It said.
Joanne also says that it seems legit, but a lot of people think Jack the Ripper was affiliated with Freemasons. Of course, I think...
Holmes was a Mason, I believe.
I'm not
wasn't he?
sure.
I think he was.
I know that... who was that earlier? Mona. Mona thinks it's the... doesn't think it's him. She thinks that it is the royal family. The theory about one of the royal family doing
Now, see,
it.
here's another interesting thing, and I think, and we were debating this because I really wasn't understanding, with attention problems, but
ADD.
yeah, there's also a theory too, and I think you said this is Jeff's theory, is that it could have been 2 people.
Yes.
And he knows her. He thinks for sure that numbers 3 and 4.
3 and 4
were Holmes for sure, and that's a possibility too. Now you got to remember, Whitechapel I said that right?
Mm-hmm.
Whitechapel in England. We don't have anybody from England, do we? That could explain this a little bit better. But that area was... how do you explain? It was industrialized.
It was not for the rich.
Right. So it was all, people who were living in, multiple families in one-room apartment buildings, people living in the streets, no lighting at all. They actually put in the lighting, the street lighting, after the Ripper murders for security. Dark, dank, coal furnaces, so the air was thick and black with, the soot from burning coal. So it was a really seedy area and someplace you wouldn't really want to be caught. And I say that really, I'm not going to say it, but you really don't want to be caught there. So that's where these murders took place. And somebody just, whoever it was, whether it was Holmes or the royalty or whatever, they slipped in, did their thing and stuff in a different show, because it really gets disgustingly sick. I didn't even realize it until last weekend when they talked about it. They sent a body part, Jack the Ripper sent a body part with one of the letters, right?
Mm-hmm. A half of a kidney. Claimed he fried up the other half and ate it.
I wonder how much postage that was. I'm sorry, it's sick.
Okay, so Richard wants to know if the Ripper's house is haunted. So the Ripper didn't really have a house that we know of specifically because we don't know who the Ripper was. As far as H.H. Holmes, was his house haunted? Well, it doesn't exist anymore.
We're actually going to do that location video Friday that we're going to put out about the post office that sits on top of the property where the murder castle was, and a portion of that post office is part of the basement of the murder castle.
Overlaps.
Yeah, and that post office is haunted. There are reports of paranormal activity in that post office, mainly in the basement. Mm-hmm. But there are reports of that post office. Yeah. And that's Friday's video.
Right. So, is the Ripper's house haunted? It's a little bit difficult to say.
Well, you could say yes. If you believe that H.H. Holmes was Jack the Ripper and you consider H.H. Holmes' house the murder castle, which is sitting on the property of the post office, the answer is yes.
Yeah. But if you want a specific house identified to, Jimmy says that's cool, identified as the Ripper's house, the Ripper didn't have a specific house in Whitechapel that we are aware of.
Right. So, the reports of Jack the Ripper, well-dressed gentleman wearing a trench coat, top hat,
mustache.
Probably somebody of wealth that shouldn't have been in that area. That was the point I was trying to make about that.
He was noticeable.
Would have stuck out. So people would have thought, oh, he's just coming down here for a prostitute. But in the way he actually did it, that's why, he had a doctor's knife, that they used in surgery back then. Not a scalpel, but a
surgical
knife, extremely sharp. He would just walk up on him and right across the neck. And they couldn't scream, and they believed that when he removed the body parts and stuff, they were alive. But it just happened in a matter of boom, and he was gone. So it was somebody with medical training that knew what they were doing. So, kind of a scary time there because, can you imagine seeing somebody walking with a trench coat and they just come out and all of a sudden, that's it. So, any questions you folks have for us? We thank you for joining us.
Yeah. This
has been a great show, Great show. Great stuff. What do you guys think of this? What do you think so far? Do you want us to do more shows like this? Because we could do them on all kinds of stuff. Lizzie Borden and more Jack the Ripper, more on H.H. Holmes and Zodiac Killer and torso murders, and it could go on and on and on and on and on.
I just like that you have. There's so many individuals who have been really thought of as being Jack the Ripper, and this is, another one, but it's very plausible.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There's a section, we didn't talk about it in here, but in the Ripper, in the American Ripper show, they do some DNA testing with Jeff and one of the Ripper murders, Edo's, her shawl. And I was personally glad that his DNA was not a match for that one. Because of two things, really. One, that was handled by individuals for 100 years before it was even identified as, being Catherine Edo's shawl. It was one of the police officers stole it from the crime scene, took it home to his wife, said, "Here, look what I got you."
Here you go,
and
honey.
She freaked out and put it away in the attic for 100 years. And through the years, it was passed on, and eventually, that was brought out in the news. And I'm like, that's what I teach in my class: is there was no chain of custody there. It was terrible. So many things wrong with that. But then on top of that, in the show, my second point, Jeff Mudgett was the one who went there to the people who had a segment of the shawl and took it with him to have it DNA tested. And I feel that if it would have come back that his DNA was a match to that at all, that there was any match at all, that somebody would say, well, of course he touched it. It would, of course he handled it, even though it was in glass and things like that. But I was glad that his DNA did not come back as being a relative of the person who had touched that shawl.
Folks, should I be scared? I mean, look at this face. Look how happy she is to talk about this stuff. Stop it. You're embarrassing me. Stop it. Quit it.
But I was glad. I know a lot of people were like, oh, that would have been the clincher. Oh, it would have proved he was Jack the Ripper. For me, I was glad that it didn't, because I just think it would have cast more of a shadow of doubt on Jeff and the whole possibility that was even on that shawl for that long time.
Yeah.
But that's another thing.
So I just want to add something to the, what are we getting?
Richard wants to know if you're insured.
All right, sure. Richard, I am worth more dead than alive. Maybe I should be concerned. Anyways, so if you guys like this show and you think there's other people that might like it, share it. If you're on Twitter or Facebook or whatever, share this out, man. Help us expand the Parrot Peep realm, and let's get other people in here. Not that I don't love you guys. Thank you for coming. I really do appreciate it. But, help us grow the channel and support the channel. Share it out there with people. And, we kind of we love putting these together and doing this stuff. And I want to keep doing it. And it's more fun to do when you guys are here watching this. I mean, we've started out. When you guys have
questions back and forth.
Yeah, we used to do a show before, and we would have 2 viewers, but this is great when you guys are talking back and forth with us. So don't forget too, hey, a little shout out to Abracus. 8 o'clock tonight, he is going live on his channel. We're going to actually pop over there while we're eating some pasta. Maybe kind of watch that and nag him and harass him a little bit. So yeah. All right. Well, that actually went quick.
Was there anybody who did not believe that H.H. Holmes could have even remotely been Jack the Ripper?
That's a good question.
Now questioning.
That's a question.
Based on the evidence that you've seen, either here or if you saw American Ripper or if you've talked to Jeff Mudgett or anything like that. How many of you have had a change of heart? Anybody?
There's a little bit of delay.
I know. I still like just looking for it. Like if they're going to say it right this second, but I know there's
that immediate response.
That immediate feedback is always nice. But I'll admit that there's a lot of things in, the timeline that I think work. And there are similarities in the handwriting. Although I'm not 100% on that one yet.
To me personally, I want to research some of the other theories, because it really wasn't until this past weekend that I knew of Jack the Ripper. I mean, they make horror movies about Jack the Ripper and things like that, but I didn't really know that much about the cases. I didn't really realize that there were only 5 murders. You hear Jack the Ripper and all that stuff.
Yeah.
There was only 5 murders.
Yeah.
So
they call them the conical 5 because they think that there may have been a couple earlier and a couple later, but those 5 are the ones that are listed as Jack the Ripper murders. For
so Richard's saying he's convinced that Holmes was the Ripper,
and Jimmy says he can't say yet.
Yeah, I want to research some of those other cases and see the rebuttals. Like I said, and just basically knowing the history of the time period. Not that I'm a historian, but just looking at some of those cases and being able to piece puzzles together anyways and figuring stuff out. There was so much corruption. I mean, look at the movie Gangs of New York, which most of that's based on a true story anyways, where the political corruption and stuff like that. If that is the theory based on, while he registered to vote, so did, 1,200 dead people. You know what I mean?
So true.
So, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I know more about the H.H. Holmes theory than I do the others. And I did hear about the royal one before, but I don't remember it. I got to go back and see.
There's some theories. The royal one has like a 2-part thing. One of them is that it was one of the royalty who did it, and then they covered it up. And another one was that one of the royalty was like, I don't know, seeing one of them or something like that, and they tried to cover up, and somebody who worked for him went out and killed him. And I don't know. That one doesn't ring for me. But there were a couple of other individuals who, hey, as soon as they were locked up in an institution, the murders stopped. There's several things like that out there. I don't know. But I do think that they should test that DNA on that Catherine Eddowes Shaw to the family of the police officer who did steal it in the first place. Because I bet you any money that family's DNA is what that DNA that was found on there is. That's my guess.
Go ahead, keep talking. I'm trying to just bring this.
So Richard wants to know how they executed him, and they executed him by hanging. And supposedly he didn't die immediately. He had over in Whitechapel, there was a supposedly an American who was staying at a boarding house and had a medical kit that was left behind, and it was found to have a bloody surgical knife and bloody cuffs that was left behind at the boarding house. So potentially that one. And then of course in the murder castle, when they had him in prison and some things came to light, they did go and they did find the booby traps and things like that, and they did go in the basement and they saw some things, and he had different, I guess you could say, murder weapons. So it really varies, but it depends also on what you think.
Well, they do know that the murder weapon was a medical knife, and Holmes,
the Ripper murders were.
Yeah. And Holmes definitely owned several of which, in fact, I believe he named them.
I think he did
names
too.
For the knives.
Something makes me think that I've heard that.
They said that at the show, and I'm like, oh, okay, this guy was like, woo. But
people name their cars, so why not name your knives?
Yeah, true. And the way those medical knives are, I wish I would have got a picture of it, but they're real thin.
They're long.
They're long.
They're kind of like a boning knife, if you've seen a boning knife lately.
Yeah, they're real long and thin and extremely sharp. They're what are they, about 12 inches long, maybe? So it's something that you could just slide into, something on your coat and just come right out with it. So
yeah. So Jimmy wants to know about DNA. So As far as the weapon that they found, that is long, to my knowledge, long gone. They didn't have DNA analysis back in the 1800s when this was going on. So my guess is they would have probably washed all of that clean and destroyed that, and or it was stolen, like a lot of the other Ripper things were stolen from Scotland Yard. As far as maybe he's saying from the victims.
There is that one. Wasn't there something that they have? A scarf or something?
The shawl from Catherine Eddowes.
Yeah, but it's been
handled by many individuals.
The chain of custody on these things weren't really taken care of that well. And it's kind of the same thing with the Lizzie Borden case, you know. Back then, they didn't follow proper procedures. It was all fairly new. Yeah. You know, and shocking that this could happen. So they really didn't know what they were doing.
Right.
And you really can't, you know, there's actually a chain of custody when it comes to a murder.
Evidence.
Yeah, an evidence case. And it's hard to do that. But
yeah. And in fact, with the knife and the, we were talking about, well, are there some of the other individuals who may have done it? There's also a theory that it was a midwife who was performing abortions, and that's why it was like
one
a
of the body
type
parts
thing.
It was the
uterus.
Took, I think it was the second case was the actual womb.
Third, fifth, I believe. The second, fourth, fifth, the uterus, I believe, was taken from all of those victims. So. That's another thing, and with Holmes having sold things to medical universities for study before, was this something that he was doing there? Was he doing that back home again with his murders here? So there's those tie-ins possibly as well. Like I said, there were other individuals who were sent off to institutions, and after that point, the murder stopped as well.
Yeah. All right. So, hey. Again, folks, if you want to win that t-shirt, make sure you subscribe to our channel and shoot us an email. There's the email address, PANICdVideos@gmail.com, with proof that you subscribe, just a screenshot. And then you are actually going to become a pair of peeps, and I'll send you back a certificate. So next time you just have to send the subject. But in the subject matter, or subject line of the email, put number 005. That's the show number for this show. And if you give me your address and t-shirt size, next week when we go live, and we're going to talk more about the fair,
Chicago's World Fair.
Yeah, which is interesting too. And there's so many things that we come across that tie back to that fair that, yeah, really cool. But next week when we talk about that, we'll draw for the t-shirt for this show. So that gives you a week to get that email in there, and we'll give it away. So I think we're going to kind of wrap it up. We were supposed to be about an hour.
We're almost an hour and a
half. An hour and 20 minutes. Yeah. But we're going to wrap it up. So I want to thank everybody for coming. We got Jimmy Boots. We had Joanne. We had Michael, Richard. Abacus. Who else did we have in there?
We had Mona in here.
PSPR popped in for Mona. We had somebody else that was kind of new too. Who
were you thinking?
I saw him quickly.
Oh, I'm sorry. I scrolled too far for you.
That's all right. Anyways, thank you, everybody. Love our pair of peeps. Awesome. So stay tuned this week to the channel. We have stuff coming out. More stuff.
Oh, that's right. Halos and Heathens.
Yeah,
Halos and Heathens. Was who you were thinking.
More stuff coming out about the post office. We're going to focus on that this week in our interview with Jeff Mudgett and the talk that he did at the post office. And then tonight I got some more videos going out about the Conneaut, Hotel Conneaut paranormal investigation that you can take part in. Just I'll put the link in the description where you can see all those videos, and then if you hear anything on our audio or video, whatever, comment the time, and when we go back and go over that stuff, you're part of our investigation. And next week we're going to do the Congress Plaza Hotel the week after. So that's our plans. That's our idea, anyways. So, anyways, I guess we got to wrap it up, right? All right. So till next time.
Thanks for watching.
And happy hunting. If you'd like to see more videos from PANICdVideos in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and smash that bell for notifications. Also, help support the channel by sharing this video with your friends and family and anyone else who might be interested in the paranormal. Thanks for watching, and happy hunting.